Even if y'all think the taste levels are subjective, listen up. What's good, Elevator family? It's your boy Elevation back again with another JBP Elevated Breakdown where we talk Joe Budden and the whole rotating circus on and off that couch. All right, now, I'm going to try really hard not to raise my tone. I'm going to try really hard not to snap while saying this, but this episode was rough to get through. And trust me, I'm not one of those people who expect the pod to be perfect every single week. I get that everyone is allowed an off day, but when your co-host starts signaling with their body language and reactions and you're not catching it, something is off. I've been warning y'all for weeks now, and every new episode keeps exposing a different tension. Monet is beefing with Mark over one thing, Monet is clashing with Ice over another, Monet is sparring with Ish and Joe for a separate reason. But today was all of that at once. They were flat out ignoring Monet. She was mid-story, mid-thought, trying to get her point off, and they just kept rolling into their own convo like she wasn't even there. It was clear they stopped caring. And as much as I want to blame Monet for over-talking, because yes, she does too much, that's all you see in the comments too. Talk less, pass the ball. But she's literally fighting for her position up there. And because Joe isn't throwing her any lifelines, it becomes unbearable to listen to. People will argue till their face turns purple that Monet is funny, Monet is talented, Monet has a bag already, that she's established, that she has her own pod. They'll swear all of that down, but it's not translating here. A real conversation needs to happen behind the scenes. And I'm not even saying this is all on Monet. She's fighting for survival because, let's be honest, her arc looks exactly like Flip's when he first got there. Flip told us himself, skits pay nicely for the average creator, but once he saw how demanding that world was, he wanted a new lane. I remember him bragging about getting 10 grand once and that being his ceiling. Joe showed him a new avenue, a whole new lifestyle and way to produce content. Monet is in the same chapter because even though she has a successful podcast numbers-wise, Ian literally just explained what happens when you sign your show to another entity. She had her pod under somebody else, and I thought Breakbeat was dead in the water. But then I started seeing that Juvenile and Manny Fresh show, and I'm like, oh wait, this is fire. And Breakbeat wasted zero time locking that in. The minute Monet tried to leave or wasn't loving the terms, they said, cool, go ahead. I thought they were finished as a platform, but clearly they just acquired new talent fast. Monet also does stand-up, and she's letting us know she's doing indie rooms. So she's coming off losing a deal, not in a bad way, but she's not with Breakbeat anymore, and she's self-funding again. And y'all wondering why she's talking non-stop? Girl, she's trying to lock in a new home. And while we blamed Flip for dropping to 1 day a week, it actually wasn't on Flip. Then I blamed Mark in another video. Wrong again. Joe was scaling Flip down to onboard Monet in the same way he phased in Jaewon. Jaewon wasn't showing up every session. Joe wanted to make sure Monet fit. And if you watch today's Patreon, Joe's face told the whole story. Laugh all you want, but it looked finished. And here's what clicked for me today. We keep assuming Monet reads Patreon feedback. She doesn't even subscribe to Patreon. How would she see any of it? She only referenced TikTok discourse when she brought up Imani's situation. That means she's hearing everything secondhand. She's living on TikTok, not inside the JBP ecosystem. She's not clocking Twitter spaces, subreddits, community threads, none of the actual feedback. And if she is reading and doubling down anyway, that's even worse. And every time I say the show dynamic is bad, people think I'm personally attacking her. No, I'm saying she doesn't fit here. And if nothing shifts, the audience sentiment will keep snowballing. It's not going to magically stop. Viewers don't gaslight themselves into liking content. It doesn't work like that. The sentiment is building. And unless the cast has a real talk about this, and I heard Monet vent today, she's not just fighting on mic, she's telling them directly how she feels, and they're treating it like a joke. She said more than once, none of you mess with me up here. None of you mess with me up here. And here's a quick life hack. If you're entering a new environment and you want to stay there long term, don't go scorched earth talking down on everyone except the boss. Any workplace works like that. The crew handles the day-to-day culture. The boss just oversees. So if you go up there saying Ice, Ish, Mark, and whoever else are not about nothing, don't be shocked when they ignore you. Flip viewed them the same way because they don't create content elsewhere. But there's more money in the world than content creation. And trust me, I get it. When you come up feeding yourself through content, you want everyone to see the possibilities. I do that too. But you can't talk like everyone who doesn't do content is beneath you and then wonder why they tune you out. Because here's reality. Even if they're trash in your eyes, they're secure there. You aren't. And because you're fighting harder than anyone else and the audience doesn't love you yet, they don't have to say a word. Ignoring you becomes justified. And just for the record, every tension point I mentioned the last few weeks proved real. Every single one. And this only gets messy for Monet. No one else is on the chopping block if Joe gets fed up. And people keep saying she won't get fired, but I've seen this comment more and more, and I agree. She's basically on a J1 contract. This isn't saying she can't create content, because she can. But let's address another talking point. People love saying when Mel was here, y'all wanted her to talk more. When Monet is here, y'all want her to shut up. Y'all hate women. Y'all are incels. I see that argument every day. But let's not act like men are begging to join The View or call her daddy. And the women in this audience tell me all the time they weren't here for female presence anyway. They were here for Joe, long before any woman sat on the pod. And the most beloved version of this show was the Rory Mal era. No woman, zero incel labels, they just got to talk. And the clash now is that Monet's humor and content style is super raunchy. That's her lane. That's why her audience watches her. But that audience doesn't translate cleanly to the JBP. And when she checks the guys for not matching her energy, they look at her like she's speaking a different language. The audiences don't blend. But because Joe is business first, he sees analytics and demos and says, I have both. And that's why Patreon leaked the real breakdown. Not how much the pod makes, but the actual subscriber demos pre and post Monet. That would be the conversation. And yeah, I broke my promise. I ended up yelling again. My bad. Let me know in the comments if I'm wiling as usual, or if y'all see the same cracks and feel this is getting tough to watch. I didn't even want to finish today's Patreon. It was that bad. Either way, hit like if you rock with the video, subscribe if you haven't. If you have, you already know the vibes. And if you think this was spicy, wait for Patreon. I'm letting Joe have it next, because choices need to be made. Peace.